Wir nehmen Russ. Nein, wir nehmen Deutsche. Deutsch. Italienische. Bestätige. Alter, im Ernst, Stream, du Sau.
Aua.
Naja, wir streamen, ne? Das heißt, mach mal auf hell.
Guck dann erstmal bei dir.
Boah, die aktuelle Zeit, was haben wir denn jetzt hier? 19:15 Uhr.
Muss man da die aktuelle Zeit nehmen? Geht aber nicht.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 15. Wir warten bis 16 Uhr. Okay, Kamera öffnen. Mein Handy kriegt Kamera geöffnet. Ja, weil wir starten jetzt rein. So, Barrierefreiheit. Braucht kein Mensch. Doch. Sorry. Ohne Modus für Geschicklichkeit, aber wenn es uns wirklich zu viel wird, ne? Nein, jetzt habe ich übersprungen. Hallo. Controller, ne? Oh.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Das Kreis? Ich hoffe nicht.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Eine Nummer drauf. Hallo. 12?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Der Stick trifft gerade auf den Sack. Das hat die Grundkammer gezogen gehabt. Ja. Oh Gott, ist das. Oh Gott, ist das hell.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Da ist doch. Nimm doch. Hallo. Nimm doch mit.
There was nothing here, No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Upstairs? Stufen rauf? Oh nein. Hier was nichts passiert.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Hüpfen? Nein. Oh, okay, it's late.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
What the fuck?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Das will ich hier lang
Though
gehen.
this passageway had the word Escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Oh, wer weiß.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise,
Oh.
he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Huh?
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Huh? What? Hier lang.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Jetzt habe ich eine Erzählerin. Digga, du musst da schon drauf klarkommen.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Der plant sich das Büro vom Spiel an. Der Weg von Stanleys Büro zu den beiden Türen war der erste Teil. Das Gebäude wurde im Laufe der Entwicklung seinen Abschnitten hinzugefügt und verändert, aber der Kerngrundriss ist fast identisch zum ersten Drucklauf wollte ich sagen. Gang. Es war wichtig, das Spieltempo in diesem ersten Abschnitt richtig. Dieser Korridor wurde verschoben und verändert, sicherzustellen, dass der Spieler die beiden Türen in einer guten Zeit. Oh, kann ich auch drüber laufen. Die zwei Türen waren der erste konkrete Teil des Stanley Parable Designs. Als diese herumgestellt worden war, entwickelte sich der Rest des Spiels als eine Erweiterung davon, eine Erkundung des Widerspruchs, der dieser Raum darstellte. Krasser Scheiß. Wo bin ich jetzt umgekommen? Kann ich. Hey, ha? Oh. Ha. Ha. Nein. Mann! Ja, ist ja hier um. Landschaftsgemälde. Das sehe ich auch. Das nicht? Ach. Mein Handy hat vibrationiert. Ja, aber keine wichtiges Film. Das ist gut. Wo sind die Crap? Okay. Ich kann hier kein Papier aufnehmen. Ich habe mich darüber gefreut. Auf den Knopf drücken. Hallo. Okay. Gut. Zeigt die 4. Version des Endes. Und wir dachten, das sei vollständig beschlossen, aber kurz vor der Veröffentlichung zu verwerfen, zu ändern. Aber im Schlachtfeld und so, was da war. Den Knopf drücken! Ich liebe es, Knöpfe zu drücken. Hallo? Hallo? Mann! Kann ich den mal? Okay. Mal Hebel ziehen. Tschüss. Das war der Trailer. Ja, interessant, so wie hier so ein bisschen Geschichte steht vom Spiel, weißt du? Das Spiel ist das Pausenmenü. Das war das alte Pausenmenü.
Es gibt sogar, wenn du das Spiel durch hast.
Ja, in der Alpha-Version gab es ein Freiheitsende. Das ist sowas. Halt, wie sie es entwickelt haben und so. Das ist ja alles, ne, mit Büro und. Das ist schon heftig, wie sie das mit dem. Hä? Oh, wieder hin. Komm jetzt hier raus. Hallo! Ja?
If you had even the most fun. Of course, you being you, you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. Here, I'm just going to make this easy on you.
Keep writing, das ist doch.
Stanley pushed the orange lever.
Ungefähr 3-mal aufgenommen.
Then he pushed the number 4. Stanley stood on the snow.
Ist jetzt hier weiter?
Stanley jumped. Where were?
Die Lunge, wollte ich gerade sagen, die Lounge. Bürouhr. Bis jetzt hier weiter. Ist jetzt durch das ganze Ding gelaufen und nun? Kommen wir zurück. Hä? Und? Hier steht mein Computer. Ich denke, das eintippen. bin verwirrt. Hilfe, mein Kopf. Ja, was los? Ach so. Das Spiel erneut beginnen und so, ne? Muss aber auch was darauf kommen.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Wir halten uns jetzt erstmal an die Angaben. Nachher laufen wir einen anderen Weg, ne?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Also, oh nein, nicht schon wieder in diesem Raum.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Jetzt hätte ich ja nicht aufheben.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
What the fuck?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ja, was ist das für ein Spielkraft?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Hey, Kaffee, hallo.
Yes, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Nein, oder? Wollen wir es riskieren? Dann gehen wir durch die Tür. Ich riskiere es mal. Mal weiß, was passiert. Hallo, dritte. Du weißt schon, was passiert wahrscheinlich?
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about
Oder?
and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Nein. Bin hier raus. Ja. Hallo. Mach die Tür auf. Ha. einfach. Mach die verdammte Tür. Guck mal. Ich will durch die rechte Tür und nicht durch die linke. Dafür ist das Garagentor. Entschuldigung. Ja, okay.
Oh, no. No, it's to the right. My mistake.
Ich wollte durch die rechte Tür. Ah. Wer?
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh, dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Bist du dir wirklich sicher jetzt, Kollege?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Och Mann! Och Mann, ich wollte jetzt... Ja,
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Welche Tür war denn hier? Das ist ja alles durcheinander.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Du verarschst mich gerade richtig, ne? Kann das sein? Dieser Kerl mich gerade richtig veräppelt?
Okay, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Okay.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Oh Gott, das ist... Wo bin ich denn hier?
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. we both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Ich hab mich so wohl gefühlt. Ist das ein...
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Okay, wir folgen der Linie. Komm nicht. Ich widersetze mich jetzt im Spiel.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Was ist die Linie jetzt? Was ist mit der Tür? Okay. Schon. Du bist so lange her. Was soll ich weitermachen? Das ist ja die Linie halt, ne?
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was
Soll ich
going.
an der Wand langlaufen?
You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit
Soll
of
ich-
music to lighten the mood.
Ich bin wieder erschrocken. Du bist zu laut. Ah. Hallo. Er scheint mir das... Wieso ist die Kamera umgekehrt? Wieso kann ich jetzt nicht... Hallo? Controller? Was machst du denn? Oh. Aus. Also, an. Was schon? Wieso nicht? Soll ich an der Decke laufen? Geht doch gar nicht so der Linie folgen. Also, dann wird es schwierig. Wieso nicht? soll ich da? Soll ich? Was? Ich hab einen Bug gefunden. Guck mal. Was? Ah! Ich bin voll verwirrt. Oh, bist du? Ich bin voll verwirrt. Hä? Was zum Fick? Hilfe! Mein Kopf! Aua! Schmerzen. Und du hier? Voller Bock hier.
Got the music. Go back and look at that fern.
What?
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Guck, wo die Linie gerade lang.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this... Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Hat er was gesagt?
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending. And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you... All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Halt die Türen schon wieder zu hier.
Ich dachte, ich wollte. Ja, naja.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Wir kommen hier mit zu. Der hat die Tür hinter mir zugedrückt. Ich wollte durch die rechte Tür. Ich hab mich einfach in den Flur geschoben.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of
Doch
disbelief,
erkennt man
Stanley
das
decided to go
an den
up to his
Filmsemester,
boss's
wenn-
office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ernsthaft? Dieser kleine verfluchte Spinner hat die Tür zugedrückt, aber ich da nicht mal reingehen kann. Stimmt die?
Mach die Tür an. Ich muss raus.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Lauf nicht rauf, ich lauf runter.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered
Warte mal,
the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work
Oh nö.
hours. He might be fired
Oh
for
nee.
that.
Oh
And in
nö.
such a competitive economy, why
Oh
had
nö.
he taken that risk? All because
Och
he
nö.
believed everyone
Nein.
had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy.
Ja. Wir müssen neu starten. Ja.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the
Wir
door
halten
on
uns
his
erstmal an die
left.
Angaben, danach weichen wir richtig vom Weg ab. Weißt du, wie ich mein?
Wie kann man da auf dem Weg ab?
Yet there was not a
Ja,
single
das ist
person
jetzt
in the
wieder
building.
noch vorhin unten im Keller
Feeling a
gegangen.
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go
This
up
is
to
where
his
it
boss's
all
office,
gets up.
hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley
Oh
walked
Gott.
upstairs to his boss's office.
Bleib mir raus! Bleib mir raus! Hallo? Ha.
Ich spiele Granny, was willst du da machen?
Toll. Ich hab kein
Hat
Spiegel
das
weg.
Game einen Leer auf deinem Handy geführt?
Hoch oder runter? Hoch oder runter? Wir tun wir beide kämpfen. Eine Ballerina. Oh. Oh.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Links, rechts, hier lang. Was hier lang? Hä? Wait a minute. Raus! Komm raus! Ich muss raus! Das lädt.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Hä? Moment.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally... This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Knopf.
And when at last he found the source of the root... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you, running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbers, oh, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in
Oh
until
Gott,
the
ich sehe
moment
nichts
I
mehr.
say happily ever after.
Hm? Hm?
Ja, okay.
Ja. So, weiter.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ich
Stanley decided
hoffe.
to go to the meeting room. Perhaps
So,
he had
das ist ja
simply
das
missed a memo.
Spiel. Ich habe mich jetzt in die Luft gejagt. Ich habe mich schon selbst zerquetscht.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Was habe ich noch? Ich bin irgendeiner komischen Linie gefolgt. Also, das Spiel so
Not a
null.
single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ha. Wir fahren. Oh. Gut. Okay. Das war geradeaus. Und sonst noch? Dann hast du nur zu Dach. Das ist schon mal Aufzug. Wo denn nicht ran? Komm ich denn nicht ran? Irgendwie. Das liebe Blitzer im Schoß. Ich geht's kaputt gemacht. So weit wieder schneller. Warum nicht? Boah, sind wir bald da? War ich schon seit 10 Minuten nach oben. Irgendwie. Okay, wir sind aber. Uns hast zu stoppen. Aber. Also, ich bin schon gefühlt im Himmel. Also, irgendwie. Langweilig aufzubauen. Aber hey, wir haben Mucke. Nur den Salat aufessen. Wenn ich sage, immer Aufzug wäre, dann würde ich mir noch eine Kippe anziehen. Oder? So. Würde ich im Aufzug eine rauchen. Soll bloß nicht über einen YouTube-Channel gucken. Soll jetzt bloß nicht auf einen YouTube-Channel gucken. Willst du was Spannendes sehen?
Wie wir nie ankommen mit dem Fahrstuhl. Hallo, ist der bei Maro? Lili.
Hä?
Das ist aber ein langes Stockwerk. Das ging aber ziemlich.
Aber wir sind immer noch, wir sind in der Chefetage wieder. Wir sind wieder da, wo wir vorhin angefangen. Also der Aufzug ist kaputt. Der Aufzug ist kaputt.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley
2,
froze in his
4,
tracks.
8.
Not a
5.
living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for
Und
Stanley.
außerdem,
Too much for any man to
bei
take.
Dini so
He
viel.
fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the
Das
guttural
war's.
retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it. 2845. Statistically, nearly impossible to guess blindly, ever. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Der Aufzug hat leider keine Musik. Der Aufzug hat leider keine Musik. Neuer geht kaputt. Kann ich jetzt überhaupt nach oben? Wenn ich nach oben will?
Whoops. Nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
Ich habe so eine Praxis mal gemacht, das rauf und runter mit diesem Aufzug gefahren. Und wieder runter.
Musst du ja eigentlich, glaube ich, wenn da eins Achievement hat.
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Mich des Todes ersch.
Du kannst
Ich springe, der kann ich springe im Game.
Das ist eine
Ha, ha, ha. Hier ist nicht mal ein. Ach man, da fahren wir wieder runter. Ähm. Yes, kann. Oh, okay.
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all this?
Über die Geschichte ein bisschen in die Wand. Weißt du, der?
Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he? Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
Wenn wir da oben sind, was machen wir? Was machen wir, wenn wir da oben sind?
Ja, runter.
Muss erst verlassen?
Oh my god. It's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this.
Wirklich jetzt?
Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No! No, wait! No! I need more time to process.
Oh Gott! Alter! Ich hab ihn verarscht, jetzt verarscht er mich, glaube ich. Weißt du, ich meine? Das ist so gegenseitiges Verarschen. Ich lieb das Game, aber es macht so Bock.
All right. I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
Wenn wir runtergefahren sind, was machen wir dann? Was machen wir runtergefahren sind?
Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How
Wenn
did I
wir
not
unten sind?
anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that
Nein,
30 seconds
ich will
ago,
nicht die
this
Käse.
kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Das hat's jetzt auch gemacht. Er musste auch nicht mehr weitergehen.
Kein Erzähler mehr?
Jetzt hat er denn...
You know what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill.
Kommt, wenn man zu oft hochfährt und
It's
runterfährt.
so precious, so
Ich
fleeting.
auch alles
Why don't
mitgemacht
we
bei
take
dem
this
Game.
elevator ride nice and slow?
Oh Gottes Willen!
Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces
Was
from
das
the
jetzt
very
fehlt?
moment that things get started.
Die Aufzugmusik.
But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises? To have to think and to anticipate and then to marvel at the eventual reveal. This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years. And it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley. Because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh, good, we're here.
Was? Ich bin verwirrt.
Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
Mit dem alternativen Ende. Und nachher das richtige Ende. Und oh.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door.
Oh.
All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry, you'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay, it looks like they're ready for you. Go get them.
Ist wirklich hoch. Auf die Bühne. Boah, Alter! Einmal im Leben im Rampenlicht steht. Das ist ein Traum.
Rede ein, bitte.
Ich wollte gerade, aber irgendwie wird das zu laut. Okay.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Lass mich rein! Da hat er gesagt, Corona
Coming to
runter.
a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Obwohl. Ah nee, das war. Da läufst du nur im Kreis. Das ist ein. Hey, mach mal auf! Und ich will drücken. Wow. Ha! Ich geht nicht auf. Hallo? Ha. Sorry? Hallo? Einer bitte von innen geöffnet? Ah, das ist aber der Chef. Geil. Hier bleibe ich jetzt. Ha! Ich will abspülen. In jedem Game kannst du Toiletten abspülen. In dem Spiel. Soll ich mich hier so. Soll ich mich hier so Doppelkampf? Aber. What? Wait a minute. Ne, never mind. Hab ich's gesagt. Nein. Obwohl. Nein, obwohl. Ja. Ja. Ich muss Knöpfe.
Hallo, jetzt geh durch die verdammten.
Ich muss zu einer Befriedigung Knöpfe
Geh durch
drücken.
den verdammten Aufzug.
Ach, ich soll innen gehen.
Knöpfe betätigen. Um wieder diese Fachstufe.
Das ging nicht so schnell.
Das ging diesmal.
Warum ist auf Knöpfe drücken? Das sage ich auf den Fehler. Da war heimlich sich.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean, he wondered? Desperate for answers, he began turning the room over looking for clues that might unravel the situation, until at last he discovered a keypad behind the boss's desk. But alas, no code. For this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Das 28. Ha! Ha! Das ist Controller. Hallo! So.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Zwischen 2804, 2805. Und danach hat es Spaß gemacht. Den Typen mit
Stanley
Ärger.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ja.
Nein, diesmal gegen wen?
Aber da steht ja Exit.
Ja, hallo.
Da steht doch Escape. Nein, ich will. Aber.
Hallo.
Nein, da steht Ausgang.
Jung.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall,
Oh,
Stanley
okay,
would
tot.
meet his
Okay.
death.
Wieso?
Wieder zurück.
Hä? Nein, ich will an den Fenstern festgebackt.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for. Nope, still on board with death.
Hallo?
Geh doch jetzt mal.
Ich will, der Aufzug ruft. Da kann man.
Ja, ich gebe dir gleich mal der Aufzug hoch.
Der Zug, der Zug, der Zug hat keine Bremsen.
Ich mag
Lights
Züge.
rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
Will
Stanley
jetzt noch
thought to himself.
jemand sagen
Did he
würde.
have the strength to find out?
Man sieht.
Jung.
Das ist der Controller, ne? Ha! Läuft der rückwärts? Der läuft. So.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each
Aber
door
man
of
ist
an
nicht.
employee in the building.
Ja, alles
Stanley's co-workers. The
Mitarbeiter.
lives of
Der
so many
hier,
individuals
da
reduced
steht
to
gleich
images
Feuer.
on a screen, and Stanley, one of them,
Den
eternally
ist schon
monitored
da.
in this place where freedom meant
Ja,
nothing.
Feiert heißt gefeuert. 600 Mitarbeiter. Ja. Inklusive dem Gefeuert.
This mind control facility, it
Knöpfe
was
zu
too
drücken. Hallo.
horrible to believe it
Hallo.
couldn't be true. That his emotions had been
Aber
manipulated to
der läuft
its
Ja.
blindly.
Das ist ja extra Aufzug. Du bist ganz oben. Und dann schalte ich die Maschine erstmal an.
Life in
Freilich.
someone else's
Den
control.
Köpfen noch.
Never. It was
Was
unthinkable.
passiert hier?
Wasn't it?
Ja,
Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire
Das ist
life
mein Match.
utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content.
Immer erstmal Zahlen
Eating,
drücken.
working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Der
For
Controller.
he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Also. Warte mal, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, 5, 2, 1. So. Okay, Alex grün, okay. Dann. Ah. Ja. Kriegen wir noch einen Code, weißt du? Diesmal nicht auf andrücken, Kollege. Ne? Wissen, das passiert auf andrücken.
And when at last he found the source of the room's
Huch!
blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Huh?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Hello?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Ist einfach die Deluxe-Version im Spiel, ne?
I have to say, let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Geht das?
Ich glaube, mit dem Knöpfen.
Schade, hätte ja klappen können.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Ah, ja.
Ah, okay.
Nur uns 7, 6, 4, 3,
Okay,
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Ein bisschen gesprungen.
ich bin sprung.
Du
Ich will
kannst
noch mal.
nicht mehr. Bring jetzt, geh doch einfach durch die Tür.
Ja, aber ich will noch mal.
Jetzt geh durch.
Ich will noch mal springen. Bitte. Bitte.
Gehen Sie jetzt mal durch die...
Nein, ich will springen.
Geh jetzt durch die Tür. Open the door. Da ist...
Aber ich will noch mal. Das Kabel eigentlich. So, hier hinter. Und dann so, ja, ins Nichts. Okay. Ich will noch mal springen.
Die Kabel führen in den Arsch. Nein.
Wa. Von da. Kam ich von hier? Ich glaube ja.
Nee, von da kam
Ja, doch, von hier kam ich.
andere da.
Wann? Hä? Doch?
Da steht ein...
Okay. Wir gehen einfach mal.
Another elevator. Stanley, I have to
Okay,
say,
zwei
initial
identische
impressions of this
Fragen.
game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley?
Huh?
This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations.
Huh?
If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Huh?
Ja.
Huh? Was zum Fick? Da ist er im Büro. Er wollte aber... Ich muss doch Berichte tippen. Hallo? Ich will Berichte. Hallo? Das ist nicht mal mein eigenes Büro.
Computer sagt nein.
Ich muss so Berichte... Ah, hier ist noch einer. Hast du? Bist du? Ah, okay. Rumpel.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Huh? Ja, wir gehen mal.
Hat er den
Das war irgendeiner, ja. Kann ich den... Hallo? Ne, dachte...
alle sammeln den ja.
Der will nicht. Ja, wer will
Der
den nicht?
will den schon fressen.
Huh? Kaffee? Schraubendreher. Okay. Darunter.
Echt gut. Ah.
Putsch. Meine
Ich
Füße.
hab mir erstmal was gebrochen.
Okay, you
Mir
remember
geht's
how
gut.
cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
So, jetzt ging's hoch, jetzt geht's wieder runter.
Licht.
Alter, was zum...
Oh nee, nicht die Stelle.
Aber wer hat das entwickelt? Schon diese Grafik.
Ja, da haben sie sich schon mal.
I
Alter.
call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite
Das ist
memories
nicht wahr.
so
Na
I can
gut.
relive the peak experiences
Unreal
of
Engine
my
5
life
ist es zwar nicht,
whenever I
aber
want.
Alter.
Experiences like the
So-
launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Kann ich? Kann ich? Kann ich abhaken?
Unwillkommen in der Welt von Harry Potter.
So, ne?
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Das ist so unbefriedigend, dass Tür nicht aufgeht.
Wollen wir mal dieses Spiel versuchen zu finden mit den Häusern? Wo wir diese Anomalien finden. Ich weiß gar nicht, ob es das vielleicht ist.
Oh. Also, richtig Dollar.
Mr. Krabs würde sich den gleich nehmen.
Keiner nominiertes Geld.
Ah, sieht aber...
New York Times, wann? Von wann ist es? 2,50 $. Hallo?
Alter, da ist dein Beruf.
Ja. Neues Videogame wurde heute released. Der in der LA Times schon so auch. Aber ich leider nichts lesen. War das die Zettel?
Ich weiß nicht, wie du es siehst, aber ich freue mich schon auf Little Nightmares vorbei.
Je suis dans la mémorisation, c'est sur l'abri de l'eau, et je n'attends
Wer singt da?
plus que ta mort.
Keine Ahnung.
C'est là.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Na, eine Tür? Wo ist der? Macht die hier auf? Ah,
Du
Hoch.
selber.
Hoch oder runter?
Geh hoch. Das riecht die Tür überhaupt öffnen? Nee.
Voll unbefriedigend.
Nichts mit öffnen.
Der kommt an.
Und da kommt man natürlich auch nicht mehr zurück. Die Tür hat sich wieder verschlagen. Ja, dann bleibt dann ja nur eine Möglichkeit. Was ist das?
Das bin ich. Ein Verschwunden. Das ist zum Beispiel so ein,
Sind das die Skizzen oder?
ja, so ein Zeichnungskurs.
Here's another
How die
moving
ganzen AdWords
passage,
und
this
so.
time from GameSpot.com.
Die Programme, die wir das
Stanley
damals
Parable
benutzt
is
haben.
both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation, boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
Auf so ein Horrorspiel, das nicht so viel kostet, weißt du?
Komm da gar nicht rein.
Auf diese ganz kleinen Horrorspiele, die können mal richtig gut
Komm da
sein.
gar nicht. Ich sag hier rein, aber ich komme nicht rein. Hilfe? Nein.
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Boah, Alter.
Ich glaube aber, dieses Spiel
Honestly, I
entwickelt
could
sich
not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Ducky oder wie das heißt.
Ja, dann muss springen.
Ich glaube, das wäre mal so eine, glaube das war mal so eine Dose, hier bei das ich.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Fängt mich einfach mal alleine. Oh no.
Also mit dem Controller darfst du nicht Sniper. Da bewegt der Charakter sich mal von alleine. Und wird dann gleich abgeschossen. Tot.
Oh, das Handy spinnt, ey.
Deswegen schlägst du dir dein Handy gegen den Kopf. Oder?
Bald wahrscheinlich damit nochmal zum Hilfe!
Diese Tür wurde was, die muss aber von außen verreinigt werden.
What's this one got to say?
Wasser
You
kannst du
constantly have to
schwimmen.
stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stan. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Okay, dann ist meine Tür ausgegangen.
Ein Gebäude.
And here it is. Go ahead and give...
So macht man das nur jetzt.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of... Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week.
Jetzt geht der Knopf auf.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved?
Sorry. Halt die Ruheklappe.
Das ist so ein nerviges Fiepen.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their...
Oh, ja. Tja.
Damit kannst du die Zeit hier
Vorspulen.
vorspulen.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the...
Komm ich hier raus? Irgendwie? Ist hier irgendwo eine Tür? Nö. Was ist eine Leiter? Und ein Brett. Ah, und hier tropft es irgendwo. Das Gebäude, glaube ich, fällt gleich zusammen.
Glaube ich, so cool.
Ich wusste es. Noch? Wo ist die Tür? Wo ist die? Wo ist sie? Oh, moin, was geht? Bin wieder oben? Wie wir hier ra... Was? Liegt hier eigentlich Glas? Also, Lampe. Schau mal. Ah. Hallo. Jetzt ist ja nichts mehr. Es ist ein bisschen dunkel geworden. Hallo. Kann ich?
Cool, so.
Weg. Muss er noch?
Nee. Okay.
Hä? Hä? Nein!
Der Knopf, den mir da sucht.
Nein, die liegen im Boden!
I.
Und gleich was? Ist nicht mehr. Ist da was? Ist nicht mehr. Ist da was? Nein! Ich will spielen!
Kannst du nicht.
Ne?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Sollen wir dem Schild glauben? Sollten wir dem Schild...
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do,
What?
Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Ich glaube, das hat Seth auch gemacht. Kann ich da runterspringen? Was passiert, wenn ich da runterkomme?
Ich versuch's
A
nochmal.
soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Ich
When
versuch's
Stanley
nochmal.
came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee
Mit dem
lounge
Controller?
first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nein.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the
Das ist
fact is,
struggle.
the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
Aha.
Please,
Das
stop
ist
trying
mies,
to make every
Da nicht
decision
runter
for
zu
yourself.
fliegen.
Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. Into your life. She's been waiting.
Es ist dunkel. Du weißt, wie ich dunkle Räume hasse.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can...
Äh.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Ich will den Kerl aber nicht begrüßen.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Kannst du nicht mal andere Knöpfe drücken? Die da unten. Okay.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Ich soll keinen Knopf drücken, hat er gesagt.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Ja, muss.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time.
One.
And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Hat er gesagt, gerade bitte stirbt?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps
Ja,
he
so
wanted
lange
to stop
versuchen,
by
bis ich
the
schaffe,
employee
ja.
lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the
Wir waren
first
oben, ne?
time understood. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on
Versuch's
his
doch mal hier
left.
durchzukommen. Ich gehe gleich erst mal pinkeln und meine Pillen holen.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Diese Folge geht nochmal andere. Nun gar eine Runde. Und jetzt so viel mit dem rumprobiert,
Ich komme gleich mit einer raus.
Das war schön. Der Rinne im Haus. Hm?
Die Rinne.
Boah, Alter. Peace. Schöne Haus, schöne Tür und rein.
Ja, kann man sich mal angucken.
Ja, weil ich
Weil
wollte
ja direkt im Hand haben, muss die Farbe vertragen.
das Geld gehört sich so.
Ist das auch ein Monatsding? Oder?
Ja, mit dem.
Keine Ahnung, das sieht komisch aus auf dem Bild.
Es ist schon
Wollte ich mir mal antun.
Du kannst halt den Hauptvater, das ist der Erzähler. Und der erzählt dir halt, was du machen musst. Aber du kannst auch für andere Dinge. Dem ist schon geil.
Der erzählt auch, dass man mal aufräumen kann.
Ja.
Ich weiß. Eigentlich sowas am Wochenende, wo er hat mir Geschichten erzählt, aber ich habe mich auch raus. Ich habe mich auch aufgrund meines Alters beschwert heute oder so etwas. Ja, 21.
Naja, mein Handy. Ich hab so den ganzen Tag. Das liegt neben dem Platz.
Prinzip einer Beziehung noch nicht verstanden. Irgendwann kriegt ihr den Arsch hinterher und dann,
Oh. So, Schmögeln. Guten Morgen. Nee.
Jetzt werden die Dose sauber. Spür die aus.
Sieht ein bisschen falsch aus, wenn man von hier guckt, was du da machst.
Ich spül die
Aber
aus.
ich spüle die Dose aus. Ach ja, auch mal, ich spüle die Dose aus.
Nee, wirklich. Ich spül die Dose wirklich aus.
Okay.
Aber ein bisschen. Soll ich die Jacke auch noch mitnehmen?
Im Februar jetzt noch durchhalten. Und dann
Wie gesagt, der Februar ist auch der kälteste Monat im Jahr, ne?
Februar soll nochmal ja, das ist ja auch der letzte Wintermonat.
Ja, so ungefähr. So, wir wollten jetzt nochmal. Ich will Datefahrt eigentlich.
Und dann
Kann ich?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
Kann ich springen, ne?
Investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about
Kann
nothing
ich
but
springen?
you
Scheiße, ich
all
wollte
this
nämlich
time.
eigentlich.
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me.
Runter in den Gang springen. Das geht nicht.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her.
Weil da ist auch ein Gang unter dem Schwebe.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Drücke runter, okay. Oh.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there,
Heute machen wir es
pushing
einen Automaten in
buttons,
der
doing
Werkstatt.
exactly what he's
Ich
told
brauchte
to
die.
do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home.
Brauchte Nervennahrung bei uns.
He's
Das war
coming
so.
back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Oh, falsche Taste.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and
Das
that he
geht die
could go
Kontrolle
through
einigermaßen,
either.
weißt du?
At last, choice.
Das funktioniert die
It
Kontrolle
barely
wieder
even
einigermaßen.
mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought
Nicht
that
mehr so
his
sehr rum.
decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow
Aber gerade die
wall
Schlüssel
with
wegnehmen, oder?
directions. And
Da
down
rein.
another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Ja, morgen mal mitnehmen.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world to push a button, do not do it.
Und so. Und so. Ja. Oder? Und siehst du, da sieht sogar ein Knopfdrücker. Warte, jetzt nur noch was da drin. Jetzt mal eins. Ja? Er sagt, ihr soll nicht den Knopf drücken. Keine Ahnung. Alles.
Weil die Bewohner hier wach machen.
Wir beginnen das Spiel einfach von vorne. Ui! Oh ja, ja. Oh, oh Gott. Ei, ei, ei. Das ist die Kamera aber richtig empfindlich. Das müssen wir aber umstellen. Oh, warte. Boah, Alter!
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got
Ja,
what
komm.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Die Größe des Fahnenholz ein bisschen um End. Ein bisschen zu hier, das Ding. Wie viel kann ich eigentlich stellen? Da bin ich aber ungefähr so was? 540 durch 2. Das muss ich rechnen. Genau die Hälfte davon haben. Mhm. 270. Hä? Wait a minute. Kann ich springen? Oh, ich hasse es. Wenn du in dem Game nicht springen kannst. Aber wir können gleich wieder springen. Aber nur im Kreis.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the
Nur in
Stanley
dem Kreis können wir
and
springen.
about how
Außerhalb wird
roundly
schwierig.
disappointing this ultra deluxe version. Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel, an entirely new experience built from the
Alter!
ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Alter! Mit modernster Technik sogar. Wie krank. Sogar Original-Dings nachher von Apple. Wie krank. Was ist das da? Das ist mein Stanley Parable 2. Oh. Ja.